What if I told you that everything you've learned about getting rich, saving your pennies, working for 40 years, is just wrong? Or at least it's not the full picture. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful way of thinking. It's not about saving more, it's about multiplying your effort. It's about building systems. Let's get into it. So let me just start with a question. Is $1 million a lot of money? Just really think about that for a second. Your gut reaction is probably, yeah, of course it is. But honestly, the answer is a little more complicated than you might think. Because you see, it really truly depends on how you got that $1 million. I mean, think about it. Grinding away for 40 years, trading every hour of your life, that's one kind of million. But what about $1 million that was generated by a system you built? A system that works for you while you're on vacation, while you're sleeping. One is a golden cage, the other is true freedom. The how. Well, the how changes everything. And that right there brings us to the main idea of this whole explainer. Building real, lasting wealth isn't about being the best penny pincher on the block. It's all about understanding and using one single, incredibly powerful concept: leverage. Okay, so before we dive deep into the really cool stuff, we need to lay some groundwork. Let's just make sure we're all on the same page with a couple of key ideas. First up, let's talk net worth. This is kind of the classic way to keep score in the game of wealth, right? It's super simple. You take all the stuff you own that has value, your assets, and you subtract everything you owe, your liabilities. That final number, that's your net worth. It's the number we're trying to build. And here's the other one, leverage. This is the engine that's going to drive that net worth number up. The best way to think about it is like using a crowbar to move a giant boulder. A little push from you creates this massive, disproportionate result. That's exactly what we want to do with our time and our money. All right. Definitions are locked and loaded. Now we can get to the main event. I'm going to show you a mental model that I promise will completely rewire how you think about making money. This is it. We call it the leverage pyramid. And it's exactly what it looks like. A roadmap, a blueprint. This isn't some get-rich-quick nonsense. It's a structured, systematic way to think about building wealth, layer by layer, so that your efforts can actually truly scale. So, the pyramid has 4 layers. Each one builds on the one before it. We start with labor, then move up to capital, then code, and finally media at the very top. We're going to build this thing from the ground up, starting right at the foundation. Okay, let's start at the bottom. This is the base of the pyramid, and it's where pretty much everyone starts their journey. We're talking about labor. Labor is your time, your skills, your effort. It's your job. You trade an hour of your time for a certain amount of money. It is absolutely the foundation. You got to start here. But, and this is a huge but, it's totally limited. There are only 24 hours in a day, right? So your earning potential is always tied directly to the hours you can work. It's linear. 1 hour in, 1 hour's payout. So, if labor is a linear game, how do you get off that hamster wheel? How do you finally break the link between your time and your money? Well, you have to climb up to the next level of the pyramid. And that next level is capital. This is when your money starts working for you. We're talking about investing in the stock market, buying a piece of real estate, funding a business, anything where your assets are generating more assets. This is the first absolutely critical step to unchaining yourself from the clock, because your money can be out there making more money 24/7, even when you're not working. And right here, this is a really important idea to grasp. The first 2 layers we talked about, labor and capital, they fall into a category we call permissioned leverage. Think about it. You need someone's permission to give you a job. You need a bank's permission to get a loan. But the next 2 levels, they are permissionless. Anyone, anywhere can start using them right now without asking anyone for anything. And that brings us to the peak of our pyramid. This is where the old rules just don't apply anymore. This is where your leverage can become, for all practical purposes, infinite. Let's talk about code and media. Okay, so what are they? Code is software, right? It's apps, websites, automated systems. And media is content. It's books, podcasts, videos, kind of like this one. Now here's the magic trick. With both of these, you create it once, and it can be copied and distributed 1 million or 1 billion times for basically 0 cost. One person can build an app that serves the entire planet. That is an insane amount of leverage. Let's put this in perspective. In the old world of leverage, if you wanted to build a big company, you had to hire people, lots of people. But there's a real human limit to that, right? Maybe you can effectively manage, I don't know, 100 people. It's a logistical nightmare. But with permissionless leverage, with code and media, the scale is just mind-boggling. There is no upper limit. A single piece of content, a single app, can reach a potentially infinite audience. That's the difference between climbing a staircase and strapping yourself to a rocket. So let's just pull this all together and look at it in a simple chart. You can see it clearly here. Labor, low scalability, and you need permission. Capital, better scalability, but you still need permission. And then you hit the jackpot. Code and media, infinite scalability, and you need absolutely no one's permission to get started. Okay, so we've torn apart the theory, we've looked at all the layers, but what does this actually mean for you sitting there right now? How do you take this pyramid and actually use it to become the architect of your own wealth? Here's the most important takeaway. The new way to get wealthy isn't about climbing a corporate ladder so you can manage 1,000 people. It's about building and stacking these different types of leverage. You use your labor to create some capital. Then you use that capital to build or invest in code and media, the systems that can scale to the moon. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Take a good, hard look at this pyramid. Figure out where you are on it right now. And then ask yourself the single most important question you can. What kind of leverage are you going to build next?